All right, good morning, guys. It is early on Friday morning, and I'm at school with my Swedish Fish and the Select Band snare drum music. So I'm going to give you guys a little walkthrough lesson here on this. I know a lot of you guys are in lessons, which is great, and you've been working on this. So hopefully this will also help you, and if you're not in lessons yet, you should get in lessons, but hopefully this will help. So I'm going to talk you through this a little bit, and then I'll put another video up of the complete etude in its entirety. So first thing, okay, I want to talk to you about, you need to use your metronome, okay? Put your met at 84 beats per minute, and make sure that you're counting in 9/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. You can count it in 3. 1, 2, 3. But there's a lot of subdivisions in this piece, so you really need to think about it in 9/8. Make sure that you put your metronome on 84 beats per minute, and you can even subdivide it in triplets, and that'll help you with that. Okay. I'm going to show you a real close up of my music here. Look at all the markings that I put in. Okay, I wrote a bunch of stickings in. I circled and highlighted dynamics. I did a whole bunch of stuff to help me out here. I wrote a bunch of stuff in to help me in real time. If you're not marking your music, you are negating a very valuable tool, okay, to make this easier for you. So make sure that you do that, okay? A few more things here that are important as you're playing this piece, okay? Not all flams are accented. A lot of times we want to accent every flam we see. Not all flams are accented, and some are. So you better believe they should be played differently. Non-accented flams need to be non-accented, and accented flams need to be popped, okay? So be careful there. Slash notation, okay? There's some shorthand notation in this piece, okay? That does not mean diddles the way they do in marching band, okay? For instance, this measure right here. Hopefully you can see that, okay? Those dotted quarter notes with a single slash. That means that that dotted quarter note is supposed to be split up into eighth notes. Okay, so you're not going to play that as some weird diddle. You're going to play that as 3/8 notes. Okay, that's called shorthand notation. Okay, and I'll play some of that here for you in a minute. Okay, finally, there are a lot of rolls that do not have release points on them. Okay, dotted quarter note rolls that are not tied to the next note. Okay, those notes need to have a release point to them. Okay, and the reason why I think that is because there are some rolls that do have ties, which have release points on them, right? So like this one right here, okay, has a tie to this note, right? This one does not. So that is not the same figure, right? And it needs to be played differently. All right, so I'll show you how some of those work, okay? And I've marked those in my music as well. All right, so let's talk about some of the more difficult, challenging measures in this. I'm going to kind of tilt my camera down so you guys can see this, okay? The very first problem area is going to be measure 8 and measure 9, okay? So you find that in your music. Hopefully you've got your music in front of you. Okay, and it's right here. It's kind of in the middle of the third line. Okay, and the thing that makes that a challenge is the rhythm. Okay, I put a star over beat 3 of measure 8 because I was originally playing measure 8 like this, right? And I realized that's wrong. There's not a triplet over these last 3 16th notes in that measure, even though it kind of looks like a triplet. It's not. They're evenly spaced 16th notes. So that measure is actually played like this. All right. So you better believe there are going to be kids that are going to come into Select Band not realizing that, and they're going to play it wrong. Okay. So don't be one of those. All right. You put that whole phrase together, measure 8 and measure 9, and you get this. Try it again. Okay, so make sure that you play that rhythm correctly. All right. The next place that is going to be a problem area for you is going to be measure 11 into measure 12. And it's going to be because of the dynamic shift at the beginning of measure 12. Okay, measure 11 is this. right? But the beginning of measure 12 goes all the way down to piano, and you keep those 16th note triplets going, right? So then you have to make sure that you do a really good job of shifting dynamics there. Right? And I didn't play that real well. I'm going to try it again. That's a little bit better, okay? And what I did to help me, I'll zoom in on this real fast, is I wrote the word soft at the end of this measure just to remind myself that I need to play this piano. All right? So make those marks, guys. I've been doing this for a long time, so if I still need to do it, you probably need to as well, okay? Next, measure 13 through measure 15, and it's the section that has all the drags, okay? With a piece like this, I don't think you want your drags to be open. All right, I don't think that's the right style. They need to be a little bit tighter. I like to use the word zip, okay? They kind of have a nice zip to them with a nice clean release. Right, a nice zip, right? So when you're playing measure 13, 14, and 15 with all these drags, make sure that your drag interpretation sounds good, because that's going to separate the really good players from the not so good players, okay? All right, make sure that they're interpreted really well. Okay, while I'm on that measure there, those 30-second notes, I'm playing those as doubled lefts, and I'm just making sure that they're really clean. Oops. All right. I guess you could single those out, but I feel like at 84, that's pretty fast. So I'm doubling those. Okay. All right. Next, measure 21. Find measure 21. Measure 21 is just hard. Not only are there drags, the rhythm changes. The rhythm kind of gets harder as it goes. And the last beat is challenging. And I think you're probably going to want to finish it with a paradiddle, a left-handed paradiddle. So 21 real slow is... Hopefully you can see at the very end I'm going paradiddle for the release. Oops. Right? You put that together. Right? And you got to make sure that composite rhythm is... All right? You got to make sure that that's really, really well played. That's a hard phrase there. Okay? Next, measure 23, and actually leading up to that too, measure 22, 23, really all the way to the end. You get a whole bunch of like 30-second notes, okay, in like a 16th note subdivision. You got to decide what's best for you in terms of the sticking to play those. So in measure 22, I'm playing those as singles. Okay, measure 2 is this measure. Okay. I'm playing those as singles because I feel like I have the chops to do it and I'm able to do that, right? Measure 23 is a ton of notes in a small amount of time with accents on them. So what I've been doing is doing single paradiddles for these. Not everyone is going to do that. Some kids are going to play those as singles, okay? I just feel like for me is kind of uncomfortable, and I feel like it sounds uncomfortable. So I've been doing single paradiddles. All right. So that's what I've been doing there, and then switching to the triplets, right? I guess you could do that in singles. It would look like this. And I'm really having to work hard to make those accents pop. Like that's the paradiddle version of that. All right. So you need to decide: are you going to do singles? Are you going to do paradiddles? It's up to you. So if you got the chops to do singles, do the singles. If you don't, you're probably going to want to work on the paradiddles because I think the accents are going to be easier to pop. Okay. And then from 25 through 28, you have more of those like 30-second notes. And I'm actually doubling some of those. So I'm using all three different options in this one piece. I'm singling some, I'm paradiddling some, the ones with the accents, and then the ones that crescendo, I'm actually doubling. So I'll play measure 25 through 28 for you and kind of show you what I'm doing. Okay, so here's 25. Here's again. I'm sorry, that's supposed to be piano. So I'm crescendoing those doubles. Just got to make sure, guys, that you're playing those as open rolls and they sound like the 30-second notes. All right? And then the very last measure. Okay? So, again, you could play them as singles, I guess. You could do that. It's up to you. Okay, so you need to do what sounds best when you're playing it. Okay, I want to talk to you about the rolls really quick. Let's compare a couple rolls. So if you'll find, if you look at this roll right here, okay, this one has a release point. I talked about that earlier. So you're going to play that as 7, 8, 9, releasing on 1. 7, 8, 9, 1. 7, 8, 9, 1. Okay? But on this one here, it does not go all the way to the downbeat. So in practice, what you need to do is you need to put a little bit of space there. That's what's indicated. So you're actually going to release that roll on 9. 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9, 1. Okay? It's just not going to have like a popped release on it. Right? So if those rolls aren't tied, make sure that you find a place to release. Probably going to be on count 9. Okay. All right. So those are all the hard places, all the problem spots, and some of the things to work on. So next video I'll put up will be the entire thing, so you can hear it, see it. But get to practicing. Use a metronome. Mark your music.